Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name is Amanda and in today's video we are going to be doing a reflective ombre. So we're going to start off by doing a sculpting gel ombre and finish using the reflective glitter top coat for some ultimate sparkles. So starting off, I'm working on my natural nails and I'm going to come in with some alcohol and a paper towel to cleanse that natural nail plate. Normally I would use the Kiki London alcohol wipes for this, but I had run out, so I'm just using regular alcohol simply to make sure that our nail is cleansed and clean, ready to go. I'm then going to come in and prep with the Vienna cuticle tool. I really love the rounded edge for this one when I've got minimal cuticle work to do but do still have that little bit of stubborn cuticle. I always find my cuticles get quite dry, so this one is great because you've got the rounded end which allows you to go in and push back all of that living tissue, all of that skin that you're not necessarily wanting to cut away, but then it also allows you to flip the tool around and you've got this sharper cuticle knife edge that you can come in and kind of like slice away all of that dead dry cuticle that you don't want to leave. What you basically want to do is make sure that you have got no living or dead tissue growing up that nail plate, so we've got a completely clean surface to work on top of. I have got a more thorough in-depth prep video up on the channel, so I will leave that linked in the description box below. I'm then going to gently etch the nail plate using the 180 grit side of the Kiki London file, and I'm just using really light feathery strokes to do this. I have sped up the video so it does look as though I'm being a little bit harsher than what I am, but I'm basically kind of like just gently tickling that nail plate using the 180 grit side of the file. If you are working on weak or damaged nails, I would advise doing this with the Kiki London buffer rather than the Kiki London file. I'm then going to go in again, first of all, and dust away the dust from filing, and then go in again with some alcohol to dehydrate the nail plate. And then we're going to come in and apply a small amount of the Kiki London primer. So this is going to prime our nails, get them ready for our base coat. A little bit goes a long way with this, and you just need to allow this to air dry. Talking of base coat, we're going to come in today with the clear HEMA free base coat, and I'm just going to apply a thin coat of this to the entire nail. You want to make sure you're working it into your prepped natural nail plate, but being super careful that you don't get any on the skin or cuticles, as this will cause the rest of your products to lift and kind of like peel away. So if you do happen to get any on the skin or cuticles, you want to go in and wipe this off before curing. So I'm going to pop that in to cure for a 30-second cure, and I'm going to sculpt today. So I'm going to come in, I applied my sculpting form off camera as I always find them a little bit of a faff to apply when wearing gloves. So I'm going to just I've applied that sculpting form. I'm just right now just making sure it's nice and secure, everything's done up tightly. I like to pinch the tip. I'm only going to be doing a short semi-almond, kind of like a short almond design. I didn't want to do it too pointed and I didn't want to go for a stiletto. I just went for that more shorter, natural, rounded shape. And then I'm going to be using the Kiki London Polygel Brush to apply my sculpting gel. So the Polygel Brush is great to use with the sculpting gel because if you need to give your products a stir, you've got the the Polygel spatula end, and then you've got the brush end to apply your products. So when I first picked up this first bead of clear, this is the crystal clear sculpting gel, I kind of just completely forgot what I was doing. So I went in and applied this at the center of the nail when I was meant to go in and apply it at the cuticle area, because normally what I would do is apply a very thin layer to the entire natural nail and then come in and start building my tip. So I placed this down, I just hit down in the middle of the nail. So I just worked it down towards the tip of the nail, and then I'm kind of just brushing it back up towards that cuticle area because I didn't want to have too much at the cuticle area. But basically normally at this step what I would do is just apply a super thin layer to the natural nail, then pick up a ball of gel like I am now, place that just back from the free edge and start moving this from side to side to sculpt our tip. Now the reason I've placed it down where I have is because where the edges of that side wall the edges of the free edge of the nail come down. They're a little bit deep, so I'm wanting to make sure that that sculpting gel is going to meet the edge where the natural nail finishes and meets our tip, our sculpting form. I'm not used to using forms. A lot of the time I use tips, so I keep going to say tip rather than form. But yeah, I'm just moving that product from side to side to sculpt out our pointed almond shape. And what I'm trying to do here is create that shape, but also make sure that it's connecting securely onto the natural free edge. So that's why I've come in slightly further down, just because we've got that deep smile line to my natural nail. I want to make sure that there's enough product there that we're not got any gaps where the form and the free edge don't connect. I hope that makes sense. Now this does only need to be a thin layer. I've just sculpted out a super thin tip. You can come in and do your ombre straight away if you prefer and not sculpt out a tip, but I kind of prefer to work on top of a clear base. So I've sculpted out my clear base, cured that for 30 seconds, and then we're gently going to remove that form. I'm sorry, I cured that for 60 seconds, not 30 seconds. The sculpting gels do require a 60-second cure. I'm really struggling to get my words out today. So we've sculpted out our free edge, and you want to be really careful because we've only done a super thin layer. I'm then going to wipe away the tacky inhibition layer, and I'm going to file this into shape using 180 grit side of my Kiki London file. And again, you want to be really careful doing this simply because you've only sculpted a really thin layer, so this is going to be easy to break. So I'm just going in and basically neatening that shape up using my file. Now if you don't feel comfortable doing this, you can do all of your finished filing at the end, but I always find it easier to get my base as neat as I can, because then I'm going to have less finished filing to do at the end, because the rest of the products that we apply are going to follow the shape of our base. So I'm just coming in, being really careful and basically just fixing up that shape. And again, this is optional because the more you sculpt, the neater you'll get at sculpting out a free edge. I really do need a little bit more practice using sculpting forms because it's not something I tend to reach to more often. My preference is always tips, but I thought I'd give sculpting a go today. So now that we've cleaned away our dust from filing, I'm then going to come in with the Milky white sculpting gel to start creating the white part of our classic ombre. So I'm just painting this on quite thin to begin with, and I'm going to use this like a slip layer. I did apply this a little bit thicker than I wanted to, but I'm just going to go and work with it. So I'm blending this back into that natural nail area just to make sure there's not a harsh line where that white ends, and then this is going to make our ombre a little bit easier. Ideally, I probably shouldn't have took this down as far as what I did. I kind of forgot that I was working on a fairly short to medium length nails, as I've been working on a lot more longer nails. It's always good though to get practice in on different shapes and lengths. I've then picked up my ball of gel and I'm just working this from side to side, building up that white, mainly because I want the color to pop and be nice and even, but also because I'm building up a lot of the strength and structure of this nail with the colors, and then I'll just do a thin encapsulation layer. If you would prefer, you can paint on your colors and create your ombre with just thin layers, and then you can come in and build up your strength and structure when it comes to encapsulating with your clear. Again, it kind of boils down to personal preference and what you find easier. I thought I would give this way a go today. So I'm just working with that product, putting it down a little bit more just so there's a softer edge where it blends out, because it was looking a little bit harsh. And I'm also just making sure to build up that tip a little bit as well, because it was only done super thin with our clear base. So I'm wanting to make sure I've built up a little bit of structure there so that I can come in and file my shape. Again, if you had applied tips rather than sculpting forms, you would still pop that clear layer down. I do anyway, so that I've got a nice base to work on top of. But if you didn't, this is where you could come in and make sure you're building up that strength and structure for the tip of the nail. Then for our nail bed area, I'm going to be using a powder blush. This is such a gorgeous pink shade. I really love this in a French design as well. I do believe when the sculpting gels are first launched, there is a pink and white French using the sculpting gels up on the channel. So I'll see if I can find the video because it was quite an older one and link that in the description box below. But I've placed this ball of gel down at the cuticle area and I'm just nudging it up towards the cuticle area. I didn't do a slip layer for this. I'm just coming straight in with that ball of gel, kind of like teasing it into place, nudging it very gently up towards the cuticle and then very gently moving it from side to side, leaving a lot of the product in that back third because we're going to start building up our apex. And then I'm just going to gently pull this down to create our blend over the white. Now again, I kind of forgot myself that I was only working on a short nail and did build this up a little bit thicker than what it needed to be. So if I was to do this again, I just would go in with a little bit less gel here and then a little bit less gel on the next bead as well, because I do like to do this in 2 beads just to create a nice seamless ombre. So at the moment you can see that ombre is still quite harsh where the pink ends and the white goes, but I'm just going to come in with another small ball of gel, 1 to build up that apex area and then 2 to perfect that ombre. So I didn't take this ball of gel down as far as that cuticle area because I don't want to end up with a bulky cuticle area. We want that cuticle area to be nice and flush with the natural nail plate, so as the nail grows out there isn't going to be like this harsh bulge or harsh ridge. It will look a lot more natural as the nail grows out. And then here I'm kind of just teasing that gel from side to side, playing around with it to create an ombre. Because I'd gone in with a little bit more product than I needed, this did make this a little bit harder, but I wanted to leave it in the video so you could see how I corrected it. So I pulled some of the gel off and wiped my brush onto a paper towel, and then here I'm just teasing the gel into place. I needed a little bit more at the side, so some of that excess gel I've got at the blend area, I'm just teasing it down towards the sidewall because it was a little bit uneven there. We had a little bit of a dip, so I'm wanting to even that out so the pink looks nice and smooth, because of course structure wise you can do this with your clear. And at this point, my only problem was my ombre I just wasn't 100% happy with. So I come in with another small amount of gel just to fix that up. Ideally, I shouldn't have took my white down as far as what I did because it was a more shorter length nail. And then it would have blended in a lot more natural at that natural nail, at the center point of the natural nail area. So I just come in with another bit of product, but I'm not going to take this as far down as normal. I'm kind of just floating it into that center part of the nail. And then I did hit my skin a tiny bit just on that cuticle area, so I'm taking my round nail art brush and cleaning off with some alcohol before popping that in to cure for 60 seconds. I did only need to do a thin encapsulation layer because, like I said, I built up a lot of the product with the colors. So I'm coming in and just placing down a slip layer. So as you can see, I'm really applying a super thin layer here because I wanted to have that slip layer there, as I find when encapsulating it makes it a lot easier for your ball of gel to flow down the nail, but I really didn't want a too thick encapsulation layer, so I kept that nice and thin. And then I've picked up my ball of gel and I'm just working that from side to side as we walk down towards the tip of the nail, being really gentle with my product as I walk it down from side to side so that I'm not playing around with it too quickly, because this is going to put air bubbles into it. But the more gentle you are with it, the lot more control you have over where it's going. And then I'm just making sure that there's enough product there at the free edge, just so again we can come in and file and get a nice shape. I did then hold the nail upside down for a few seconds just to pull everything into the center and get that nice structure to the nail. It's going to give the product that spine running down the center of the nail. I then cured this and we're going to come in, wipe off the tacky inhibition layer with some alcohol so that we can go in and file. Now I find the sculpting gel super easy to file, so I'm just filing here with predominantly the 180 grit side of the file. If I feel as though it needs it, I'm going to go in with the 100, but I didn't feel as though it needed it. So here I've come up one side wall and I'm just going to come around that cuticle area and then down the other side wall just to contour that nail a little bit. The edges, the sidewall edges of the nail were a little bit bulky, but I didn't necessarily want to remove too much product from the apex area. So I've kind of come along those sidewalls areas just to thin them out a little bit, and then exact same around that cuticle area. I just want to refine it. I don't necessarily want to remove too much product because we want it to be nice and flush to the cuticle area. but we still want to have that structure there in the apex. Then I'm just coming over the surface of the nail just to simply refine everything and make sure everything is nice and smooth. If you have got a bit of an uneven application, this is where you can fix that up. I often will dust away some of the dust from filing and then go back to filing just so I can see what I'm doing. By removing that bit of dust, you're able to see any areas that might need a little bit more attention. Now for here, my tip was a little bit too thick, so I did come and apply a little bit more filing to the tip area of the nail, because this is meant to be the thinnest part of your nail. So you've got your apex, which is the thickest, and that's going to run down as the spine of the nail, but then we want to taper it off into a nice thin tip, and this is going to just give you a good balance to the nail as the nail grows out as well. I then come back in and fixed up the shape because I wanted to have a nice sharp rounded shape, and then I'm just doing that using the 180 grit side of the Kiki London file. And then I'm very quickly going to finish off by buffing with my Kiki London buffer. This is just going to help remove any of the harsher scratches that are left behind from filing and give you a super smooth finish. I then went in and dry dusted using the Kiki London dust brush, and then I just sprayed a little bit of alcohol onto my dust brush just to help really remove all of that dust from filing. And then we're going to add some sparkles. So originally when I see this design, it was a bridal set of nails and she had a full set of ombres but with a really super fine glitter over the top, and it reminded me that I haven't used the reflective top coat in ages. So I thought I would come in, do my ombre, and then finish off with a thin coat of the reflective top coat. I'm just making sure that we have fully top coated the nail, and this top coat is beautiful because it is such a high shine, but the sparkles in it are super fine, but they have that reflective property to them, so under flashlight they reflect beautifully, but I find in daylight as well the sparkles on this, they just pick up the light stunningly. So this is what it looks like under natural light. I do leave a clip and a picture showing what it looks like under flashlight as well, because it does catch the light beautifully. Before jumping to the pictures though, I'm just going to add a little bit of cuticle oil, give that a good rub in so we can replenish and nourish the cuticles. I was using the fresh rose cuticle oil today, and I really loved how pretty this turned out. So this is under flashlight where you can see it just kind of picks up those sparkles a little differently, and I played around the lighting just to show the different ways that this glitter catches the light. I absolutely love this one. I've definitely got to use this top coat a lot more, but I love how it looks over quite a simple design. That takes us to the end of the video. So if you did enjoy today's video, please do give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment below letting me know what you would like to see in future videos, and hit that subscription button if you haven't already. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Take care. Lots of love. Bye bye.